The mind is a labyrinth, and here we see the collected mind of all mankind. Ascend the ladders of the stacks. Let thy soul light the passage of the maze, to find what all do seek, the golden fruit from all these ages. There are secrets hiding in these pages.
We've all heard the stories about individuals blessed by heaven who have gained vision and sight into the secret nature of things. How did they get access to this higher world? Well, you're about to find out.
Sir Galahad by George F. Watts. This is doubtless the most popular of all pictures painted by George Watts. It is the representation of Sir Galahad, the knight of King Arthur's Round Table, and was suggested by Tennyson's sketch of him, the spirit of which is almost perfectly embodied in the picture. There are two versions of the original. The earlier one was given by the artist to Eton College, where it now hangs in the beautiful chapel, a most appropriate home for it. Only the good discern the good. Mrs. Browning. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. Jesus. Godliness is profitable unto the life that now is. Paul. The holier a man is, the more perfectly does he understand sin. The more wicked he is, the less. Fairbairn. My good blade carves the casques of men. My tough lance thrusteth sure. My strength is as the strength of 10, because my heart is pure. Tennyson. And one there was among us, ever moved among us in white armor, Galahad. God made thee good as thou art beautiful, said Arthur, when he dubbed him knight. And none in so young youth was ever made a knight, till Galahad. Tennyson. Neither is a horse elated nor proud of his manger and trappings and coverings, nor a bird of his little shreds of cloth or his nest, but both of them are proud of their swiftness, one proud of the swiftness of the feet, and the other of the wings. Do you also then not be greatly proud of your food and dress, and in short, of any external things, but be proud of your integrity and good deeds. Epictetus. In Walter Pater's Marius the Epicurean, an Italian mother tells her son that his soul is like a white bird, which he must carry in his bosom across a crowded public place. Would it reach the opposite side unruffled and unsoiled? The question of this anxious Italian mother is typical of all thoughtful mothers. The task which such mothers set for their sons, the task of keeping their souls undishonored, is the most difficult achievement in life. If the pathway to it is long and steep, it is the pathway that leads to sovereign power. It is the universal law that things most worthwhile are always the most difficult. The youthful Sir Galahad of the old legend stands as the representative of the class, larger than is sometimes supposed, of those who succeed in the attempt. The story of his achievement and its results is told in Tennyson's poem, and embodied in Watt's picture of the spotless knight of the Arthurian epic. As the Knights of the Round Table provided a center for medieval chivalry, so the Sangreal, or royal blood, the Holy Grail, the cup from which our Lord drank at the last sad supper with his own, provided medieval religion with a center for its aspirations. In the legends of Parsifal and Lohengrin and Arthur, the elements of knightly heroism and religious aspirations are wedded together. Tennyson has made the legend of Arthur live again in his Idylls of the King. The knights of King Arthur go in search of the Grail. The mystic symbol is such that at the same time and place, it could be seen by some and not by others. To some it seemed veiled with a luminous cloud. The knights had a vision of it manifested in proportion to their purity. One knight alone, Sir Galahad, the knight of virgin heart and will, the knight who knew no fear, he alone saw the Grail, clear and distinct. The moment represented in Watt's picture of him is the moment when the heavenly vision of the Grail is revealed to him in the luminous sky through a break in the trees. He dismounts from his white horse and stands fascinated with the vision which lights up his face and armor. Both the legend and the picture seek to represent the truth that purity of heart gives men power to see things which men without it cannot see. They seek to give concrete form to the statement of Jesus that the pure in heart are blessed, for they shall enjoy the vision of higher things, especially of God, denied to those who indulge their imaginations in sensuous images. Galahad's purity put what Paul called eyes in his heart and gave him the faculty of faith or imagination, by means of which he could see what no physical eyes ever see. One of Arthur's knights confessed the truth of this when he said, "Then every evil word I had spoken once, and every evil thought I had thought of old, and every evil deed I ever did, awoke and cried, 'This quest is not for thee.'" It is only Galahad who can say to the king, "I saw the Holy Grail and heard a cry, 'O Galahad, O Galahad, follow me.'" "Ah, Galahad, Galahad," said the king, "for such as thou art is the vision, not for these." The passionate desire, the cry of the human to approach and mingle with the divine, common to all religions, can be satisfied only in proportion to the purity of heart. Plato gives a practical application to the power of vision which purity gives. In speaking of what constitutes a good juryman, he said that to be qualified to administer sound justice, he must be free from the taint of evil habits and must have been pure-minded from his early youth. In order to deal with evil, he must be guided by knowledge of it, not by personal experience. "Your smart and suspicious juryman," says Plato, who himself has been guilty of crimes, fancies himself knowing and clever, but when he comes to deal with men of years and virtue, he shows himself to be no better than a fool, with his mistimed suspicions and his ignorance of a healthy character, due to his not possessing any example of such a phenomenon. Then Plato states the general principle that vice can never know both itself and virtue, but virtue in time acquires a knowledge at once of itself and of vice. Is not Plato right? It is surprising how the pernicious fallacy persists that an experience of evil gives a man a truer knowledge of life. Impurity of heart destroys the capacity for any true knowledge. Darkness can know only itself, and that only in part, but light knows itself and also its opposite, darkness. It is the Galahads who see not only the highest in life, but the whole of life. In Watt's picture, a sword hangs by Galahad's side to indicate that he is not a mere dreamer, but a stalwart fighter. Purity gives not only power of vision, but power of achievement. Goodness is essentially strong. Evil is essentially weak. Galahad's purity gave him the strength of 10. The vision of the Grail gave him power to perform. And in the strength of this I rode, shattering all evil customs everywhere. And in the strength of this came Victor. They called Parsifal the guileless fool, but he it was who wrought the salvation of Wagner's drama. It is not without significance that the only knight of Arthur's court who saw the Holy Grail was the youngest knight of the Round Table. The strength of youth lies in the purity of its ideals and the warmth of its enthusiasm. And it is a fact of history that it is not to the cautious, calculating men of experience who have exchanged their ideals for their comfort, but to the vision-seeing, chivalrous youth that the great causes of God owe their greatest debt. There is a kind of energy which scientists call energy of position. It is locked up motion in an elevated body. A pile-driving machine illustrates it. The ram is slowly elevated to the top of the machine. When it is freed by the releasing hook, it falls with accumulated force on the pile head. The stored-up energy of position is converted into energy of motion. Likewise, moral elevation gives practical efficiency. Moral feebleness destroys it. Tennyson was true to life when he made Galahad to be the most effective warrior of all the knights. During the riot in Paris in 1848, a mob swept down a street blazing with cannon, killed the soldiers, and spiked the guns. A few blocks beyond, it was stopped by an old white-haired man who uncovered and signaled for silence. Then the leader of the mob said, "Citizens, it is De Lior. 60 years of pure life is about to address you." Purity of character is a more effective force than cannon. If men are to be effective as Galahad was, they must, like him, wear the white flower of a blameless life. When Ulysses went to Circe's isle, he accomplished what none of his companions were able to do, because Hermes gave him for protection the little flower moly. The flower's real name and meaning was shield heart, white integrity. Traveler, pluck a stem of moly, if thou chance at Circe's isle. Hermes moly, growing solely to undo enchanter's wile. You know, when I open these books, I don't know what I'm gonna find. I'm hopeful, something good. Each book comes with a bit of mystery, anticipation, and ultimately a profit or a loss. Sometimes it takes a lot of losses to get to the profit. Sometimes you get it first try. And what an illuminating passage we found here in Great Pictures as Moral Teachers by Henry Jackson. This episode, I introduced coins onto the screen as a way of keeping track of what I deem as the most valuable ideas to take away from the passage. Today, we found 8 coins to take with us on our journey. So, we're rich. We made it. We don't have to go to work tomorrow. I would copy these down, or at least bookmark the video. Meditating on these lines will yield a fortune. Number 1. Though the pathway to keeping your soul honorable is long and steep, it is the pathway that leads to sovereign power. It is the universal law that things most worthwhile are always the most difficult. Sovereign power? You mean kingship? Number 2, purity of heart gives you the power to see things that those without it cannot see. So there are hidden worlds, accessible to some, denied to others, and a pure heart is the key that unlocks the door. Number 3, vice can never know both itself and virtue. But virtue, in time, acquires a knowledge at once of itself and of vice. Definitely gonna have to meditate on that one. Number 4, goodness is essentially strong, evil is essentially weak. This fact, in light of current world events, breathes hope into the future. 5, the strength of youth lies in the purity of its ideals and the warmth of its enthusiasm. This is a topic I will continually touch on. It is essential that we discover worthy ideals and that we herald them with the warmest enthusiasm we can muster. As we grow older, we can't allow ourselves to drift away from this life-giving river, getting bitter, allowing the dirt of daily life to accumulate on our hearts, to find pure ideals and to herald them warmly forever. This is the fountain of youth, so drink deeply. 6, it is not to the cautious, calculating men of experience who've exchanged their ideals for comfort, but to the vision-seeing chivalrous youth that the greatest causes of God owe their debt. When I read this sentence, I transform into a roaring furnace. I see light shooting off the letters of the page. I hear choir calling me home. Number 7, moral elevation gives practical efficiency. Moral feebleness destroys it. This stands in contrast to the opposing idea, which is quite popular, that there's an ingrained conflict between virtue and utility. Instead, much like a pile-driving machine, we can use energy of position to unlock the power of an elevated body here on Earth. And finally, number 8, purity of character is a more effective force than cannon. This idea hits you like a cannon. For it to be true, and it is, the implications are deep and heavy. We spoke about this idea in a previous video, Lessons of Power, Caesar and the Pirates, where a young Julius Caesar, kidnapped and locked in a pirate ship dungeon using merely the force of his character, escapes his chains, sails the boat back to where it came, and brings his kidnappers to justice. The pen, or the word, is mightier than the sword, we've heard again and again. Well then, it is the purity of the person that gives the word its energy of position. For a perfect example, see Gandhi versus the British Empire. Before we say goodbye, I must ask the question that's been burning in my mind since finding this passage. We heard one of Arthur's knights state that all his past evil deeds and thoughts re-emerged upon his searching for the Grail to inform him that this quest is not for thee. All of us have done things we're not proud of, things which betray our pure heart. Is it too late for us? Is the damage already done? We need to explore this question deeper, either below this video or at some other time. It is a vital question that demands an answer. My friends, take these coins, and as you go about your daily life, remember Sir Galahad, the power of a pure heart. Secrets from the Stacks is dedicated to the seekers, to the vision-seeing chivalrous youth, to the pure-hearted. In the coming episodes, I will continue to bring the heat, sifted and strained from our dusty yet trusty old friends. There is always more to learn.